Okay, welcome everyone. Today is Wednesday, September the 9th, 2020. It's also Tom Clapper's birthday, just to throw that in there. But it is a regular meeting of the Pitkin County Board of County Commissioners. It is noontime. And this is Patty K. Clapper, and I am sitting in the board meeting room. And we have on Zoom meetings, we have Steve Child, the chair, Kelly McNicholas Curry, vice chair, Greg Postman, George Newman, the county attorney, and I believe Rich Engelhardt representing the county manager's office. So I am going to graciously turn this meeting over to the chair, Steve Child.
Okay, welcome everybody. First off, on the agenda, are there any additions or deletions to the agenda, Rich or Phyllis?
I'm certainly not showing any in the civic clerk, so I think we're good on our end.
Okay. Now it's time for public comments. To start off, we're going to show one 3-minute clip of a video from Lee. It will be Lee Mulcahy speaking, and this will be Lee's 3-minute allotment of time for today.
We had this problem before. We didn't get any audio.
I'm not hearing the sound.
And love, compassion, and a way through the corruption
What happened
here.
last time we
Realize
tried this?
that I realize
get
I'm
audio.
so grateful to have the most amazing
Yeah,
parents.
for some reason we're not getting
Not
audio.
only my late
But
father,
the public's getting the
but
audio, but
this
the Board of
amazing
Commissioners is
woman,
not. It's supposed to be
Mama
public comment
Sandy,
for the Board
as
of
she's called in
Commissioners.
Kenya, that
Yeah.
has shown me
Is this a promotion
Hope.
or something?
and love
So, because
Compassion
we are not hearing it,
and
can't be
a
entered
way
into
through the
record,
corruption here that
I think we
sometimes
should
we
stop
get
the
involved
video at
in
this point.
Aspen. What's your purpose, Mama
Unfortunately,
Sandy?
I
For
guess
some
I could
reason,
sum
we
it up by
cannot hear the
saying,
video.
I want to serve God
Lee
in
and
such a
his
way
mom talking.
that I bring glory to Him. If I do that, then life has been good and
let
it
it
has
go.
been worth living.
Amen. What was your part in the Kenyan trip, the East African country on the border that borders the Indian Sea?
I just ran as fast as I could to keep up with my husband, Bud. It was his dream and his understanding of how to serve God, and that was by doing water wells. In Kenya, they call it boreholes, but that was what he wanted to do.
Why do you think water specifically attracted Dad?
Well, he was in aerospace, he was in nuclear work, and then he started his own construction company. And part of that construction was doing irrigation, so that's water. And when he realized that we are very special here in the U.S., water is easily attainable. But when he found out what it was like in Kenya, then between Nairobi and London, after visiting in Kenya, he said, we're going to go back and do a water well.
Dad, I guess Dad knew firsthand though. He grew up on a farm in South Texas without running water or electricity. And there's not many people, in the United States that experience that firsthand. So he understood, I think, when and you can tell the story about Yagan.
Well, he understood life was hard on the farm. And I lived on a farm as well, short period of time, but not without electricity. Water we were able to obtain because we had a tank, but he knew it firsthand. And when our table waiter, and we really need to go back and say, how in the world did we get to Africa? But you were instrumental in that and kept just begging us to do Africa, and we weren't interested. In fact, it just seemed like an otherworldly thing to do. We held off for a number of years till finally I think it was your saying, I can get you a really good deal, and Bud loved good deals. And sure enough, you were able to. And we said, okay, we'll celebrate our 50th wedding anniversary and do that in Africa. And instead of one safari, you did 3. And
That's
we
3 minutes.
pondered that. It was like, you must have thought we were so old that we'd never get back. And you said, just go for the works. We'll do all 3. So we were in South Africa, Tanzania,
Steve,
and
that's
Kenya.
3 minutes.
Okay, Andrew, can you stop that video? So
Thank you,
it's
Andrew.
Lee and Sandy Mulcahy talking about water, water in their lives, providing water for themselves and for apparently at the project in Africa. We're not going to show any more video today. If anyone wants to speak at public comment, you can phone in on the number, and we've got 3 numbers showing up. The number ending in 3799, do you want to make comment? And Lee, if that's your number, you already had your 3 minutes, but who is there on 3799?
My part was the video, so I don't have any comments. Thank you.
Okay. The number ending in 8797? Do you wish to make a...
Yes, sir. My name is Lee Mulcahy. I'm grateful for many, many things.
We
Yes, sir.
considered that we were considering that the 3-minute video, which actually was about almost 4 minutes long that we showed, was your public comment for today. We're going to try to iron out showing the video. We're going to have discussion later on amongst the commissioners. We might be able to try it again next regular meeting, but we're not going to show any more video today. So thank you, Lee.
Okay, well,
Next.
that was
Wait.
that was Sandy on the other line, and that was so. If you wanted to deduct a minute from my comment, but okay, if you want to silence me for the remainder of my comment, that's okay.
No, Steve, Sandy said
No,
the first
no.
video was her comment. So Lee does get his 3 minutes.
Okay, go ahead, Lee. We don't want to silence you, Lee, and if we consider the first one your mom's 3 minutes, we'll give you a couple minutes now.
Yes, sir. Thank you so much. Yeah, as I mentioned, I'm grateful for many things. I'm grateful that my family was able to build our house here. I'm very sorry that my neighbor, the county commissioner, who lives a block away from my family, says that she will say in public comment, Lee Mulcahy is laughable because of this, or justice is in favor of the housing committee. And my point to that is, okay, that's her right as an American to believe that. But people in employee housing and affordable housing, and, you know, I'm super grateful. My house is worth a lot. I understand that. But we did build it. And my neighbor wants to take it away. Okay, that's her right as a county commissioner that ran unelected. However, everyone in APSHA should be cheering for the Mulcahys. And here's why. The government will be able to point to our case and say, we do not have to serve disclosure requirements or orders from the court on defendants that are pro se. Pro se means we don't have a lawyer. At the time, we didn't. It also means that the government will be able to point to APSHA versus Mulcahy, this case, and say, we do not have to follow the requirements of our guidelines in evicting a family. It will also, the government will be able to point to APSHA versus Mulcahy and say pro se defendants are, the Supreme Court of our state said that they require a case management conference with pro se defendants. But if APSHA wins on in a couple weeks, there's an oral argument from the Court of Appeals of our state, and we're very grateful. But if they win, required case management conferences won't be required with pro se defendants. And this is concerning to the 3,000 households that live under the tyranny of APSHA. And if you don't believe me, there's one clause, I call it a Death Star clause, in people's deeds that they may not realize. And what it says APSHA can reassign your unit at their discretion. Discretion is legalese for willy-nilly. So I thank you for the time. I hope I didn't run over. And thank you for hearing us so much. I hope you guys all stay healthy.
All right. Thank you for your comments, Lee. I think you were right about on the right time. We have Justin Ducksher on the line. Do you want to make public comment?
Justin is for an item later on in the agenda.
Okay, thank you. We'll having public hearing later on. Thank you. Is there anyone else in the public who wishes to phone in? You need to phone in immediately right now to make public comment. We're only have the 2 numbers on there right now, so I think I'll stop public comment right now. Are there any commissioner comments? Kelly?
Thanks, Steve. Yeah, I have 2 topics that I'd like to take a moment to comment on today. The first one is really to note the fact that, 6 months ago today, our community woke up and read the news to discover that we had COVID cases in our community. And, really set off, I think, a time of uncertainty and fear that then progressed into, some loss and adaptation and real resilience that our communities demonstrated. And I want to acknowledge that. I want to thank everybody for their really hard work to keep each other safe. I think the fact that, we took all of that uncertainty and used it to behave in ways that took care of each other and respected each other and respected our frontline workers and our essential workers in the community has helped us to get through this with very little loss of life and really kept our eye on the goals of keeping our healthcare capacities high. And I know there's a lot of lessons learned about how we all responded to that emergency that we're still processing. And, there's still a lot of hours that our staff is putting in. And, I want to just extend thanks to our public health department and our partners at the municipalities who came to support us and who continue to support us during this time. There's still people who are working, 60, 80 hours a week to try and keep us all healthy, keep us planning for the next phases so that we continue to stay healthy, that the virus continues to have, little harm in terms of loss of life and health problems in our community. So, again, just a thank you. We're not out of this. I think we have a while still. I think the winter poses challenges that we're all thinking about and preparing for. So everyone who continues to hold the line and be cautious and listen to or make the 5 commitments, thank you, and please continue to do so. And then the next item, separate from that I want to bring some attention to is, my mom would have been 70 years old this weekend, and You know, instead of being able to mark that birthday, you know, we lost her at the young age of 52. And she suffered from ovarian cancer, which is known as the silent killer. And it's September is a month to bring awareness to ovarian cancer, and so I just want to kind of educate a little bit about what that looks like. The reason it's called the silent killer is because the symptoms of ovarian cancer are very, very subtle. There are things that many women experience on an ordinary basis, such as bloating, back pain, and fatigue. But you know, if left unchecked or ignored, can progress into advanced cancer. And unfortunately, ovarian cancer is a disease that is often not caught until it's spread throughout a person's body and manifests in other ways. So, you know, check in with your moms, check in with your sisters and your aunts to see how they're feeling, to just bring some awareness to them if they've been feeling off and have some of these symptoms, that it doesn't hurt to go and get checked to rule that out. So thanks for letting me take that time.
Thank you, Kelly, for the heartfelt comment. Greg, do you have a comment?
Yes, thanks, Steve, and thank you, Kelly. Thanks for that. That's a great heads up. I'm going to be contacting the women in my life, mothers, my sister, and check in with them. But thank you. Regarding our response to COVID, I have to just say I want to echo what you said, and I want to point out that the importance we see today of social distancing and masks as part of the 5 commitments. Everywhere I look and everyone I hear from, they say that really the way we're going to get through this and actually live our lives and have our economy work is through social distancing and mask wearing. And what we've seen is masks have been evolving rapidly. They're getting more comfortable, more effective, more ubiquitous. I probably have, I think we have a basket with 10 or 15 in them, and we wash them constantly, and they're always there when you leave the house. It's just become part of our lives. An interesting thing that's just come up that I wanted to alert you all to is that masks are starting to be considered something along the lines or like a vaccine, in that they have the same effect that a vaccine has. They might let just enough of the virus in that you can build an immunity to them. And this has been in the news in New York Times has an article in Health. Some other various mediums are writing on how research on masks shows they behave like a vaccine in a way. So while we're all waiting for this vaccine to arrive on November 1st, or whenever, you know, it's become very political, maybe it'll be 5 years or 50 years before a vaccine actually arrives. What we do have is something very simple and utilitarian, proven to be effective. It's called the mask. So I think we just need to remind people, keep wearing them. There's nothing wrong with it. It doesn't affect it shouldn't affect your pride or your sense of freedom. It really is a way of protecting our community from what's turned out to be a pretty insidious and miserable disease. Thanks.
Thank you, Greg. Patty?
Yeah, I want to echo both Kelly and Steve with thanking our staff and our partners for the response to COVID. It's been a lot of work. We have a lot of work ahead of us, so we need to continue to be diligent. And as Greg said, wearing a mask is not giving up a freedom. It's protecting yourself, your family, your friends, your neighbors, and your community. And in light of that, I'm worked really hard while I was in California visiting my mother, who is not doing well. I was dealing with a fundraiser for the woman who's running in the Colorado 3rd Congressional District, Lauren Boebert. She was trying to organize a fundraiser here in Aspen, and I had multiple phone calls and exchanges of information with her staff, getting them through the process of a business safety plan and a special event safety plan, and making it very clear that we expected the rules and regulations of our public health mandate to be followed. And I was very disappointed to find out that they did not follow that. They came to our community to raise money from people in our community who support her, which I think is fine. But we asked very simple things like social distancing and wearing of masks, which were apparently not done and not followed. And I have issue with that. They came in and potentially exposed people within our community who were trying to do a good thing for her campaign. And I was really sorry to read about that. So please, we ask very little of people just to protect themselves, their neighbors, their friends, their families, and our community. And it's not giving up a right. It's not giving up freedom. It's just asking people to do the right thing. So that being said, I also, on another note, I think that we need to recognize the passing, and I think Steve may have brought up, or someone, the passing of Gerald Hines, who was an instrumental part of our community. We also just recently lost Dolores Stutzman from the Stutzman family. She had been an active part of this community for many, many years. And we also lost Pat Matalone, who was married to Chuck Matalone, who is part of the Clapper family. And then I just read in the paper today the passing of Don Newberry, who was the son of Patsy and Don Newberry, also a longtime member of the Aspen community. So I just want our thoughts and prayers to go out to those family members and the friends of those people who did a lot in the Aspen community over many, many years and many generations. So on another note, the sun is coming out. I'm looking at blue sky with puffy white clouds. Hopefully when I get home, the snow will have melted off my porch and I can uncover the tomatoes again and let them start to ripen. But we'll see. You never know around here living in the Rockies. You never know what the weather will do from moment to moment. But that snow was pretty interesting yesterday. I think we all lost some treasured plants that we were hoping to see through the fall, but there's always next spring and we can plant them again. So thanks, and have a good week, and as always, stay safe. Thanks, Steve.
Thank you, Patty. Greg?
If I could just tag on, another obit I saw today was Marianne Settegast, who people may not remember her unless they were in my classes in elementary school. She was my second grade teacher. And if you see the obit in the paper today, truly remarkable woman who spent, I think, 5 or 6 years as our second grade teacher, but then spent a lot of time in and out of Aspen, was a scholar who traveled the world and studied throughout her entire life. And I think as a role model and an example of a remarkable woman, a remarkable teacher, I just wanted to call up her name as well, because people will remember her. Mrs. Settegast was cut an amazing figure in my, I think she may have been my first teacher crush when I was in second grade. And it was so great to hear about her. I'm sorry it was an obituary, but her life is so remarkable. I thought I'd better tell my fellow Aspen kids that they could read that. So thanks.
Thank you, Greg. George, do you have any comments?
No comments, man.
Okay. And I have
no crushes.
I have one comment, and it's a little bit more upbeat than talking about the obituaries and the woes that people have had. This Saturday, Wilderness Workshop is doing a wire rolling up event on Sky Mountain Park. It's going to be this Saturday. If you wish to participate in this, I think it starts at 8:30 on Saturday, but you need to sign up for the event at the Wilderness Workshop website. I think they probably can only take a certain number of people. I am signed up. I'm hoping I am feeling well enough on Saturday to go do that. It would be about the 4th different barbed wire pulling and rolling up event that I have been to in our local areas. This is very important for the wildlife. Several times in my life here on our ranch, I have removed deer and elk, both living and dead, from barbed wire fences where they got caught on them. And there are old barbed wire fences that aren't needed for retaining livestock anymore. There are some in the Sky Mountain Park vicinity that will be being removed this weekend. And a week or two, I don't remember the exact date, there will also be a barbed wire rolling event at Shootie Ranch down near Carbondale. That Wilderness Workshop will be sponsoring that also. So I encourage anyone who wants to help the wildlife go out, and it's pretty hard work. You need to wear some good gloves and a hat and bring lots of water to drink because it's pretty strenuous work, but very rewarding because you're helping the wildlife out to have an easier life in the wintertime especially. So that's the end of my comment for today. Let's move on to our consent items. And actually, we don't have any consent items. The first thing is individual consideration items, and these are first reading set for public hearing on September 23rd, and we have the resolution of the board approving third quarter budget supplemental requests. And Connie Baker is here from our finance department to walk us through these again today. Connie?
Hi, good afternoon. The supplemental request today includes 15 different requests from a number of county departments. This resolution increases the county's 2020 budgeted expenditures by $1,217,730. That's offset by an increase in budgeted revenue of $873,630. Increase to the budget of $344,100. Going through according to the funds, the general fund requests include 2 from the jail, and they are both net zero requests. One is for telehealth equipment, and one is for jail-based behavioral services. Yesterday, staff went through all of these requests with the commissioners in more detail and answered questions. So hopefully all of the questions were answered yesterday on the requests. The next request in the general fund is for an increase in emergency management wildfire public outreach. And part of this increase is being paid by contributions from the 3 different Valley Fire Departments. There's a facilities request for the county share of the North 40 Fire Station roof replacement. In the capital fund, there's a facilities request for public health space planning and design at the Basalt River Park Center. Then a number of requests in the Human Services Fund. There are a number of grants. One is Emergency Solutions Grant, which provides funding to help reimburse many of the costs related to the safe outdoor space at the Brush Creek Park and Ride. There's a FEMA Public Assistance Grant for non-congregate shelter, and then also a Veterans Assistance Grant. Human Services is also requesting an 18-month term-limited position paid for in part by CSBG CARES Act funds, and a number of other funding sources will be drawn down within the Human Services Fund. Public Health Fund, there is a grant for harm reduction. This grant is $320,000 per year. The request is just for the half year. This will strengthen the PACT program. In the fund, there's a request for a housing software program to better manage the county's housing inventory. Then Basin Trails, the Redstone Clear Path Trail NEPA, an increase in the cost. And then there are a few multi-fund requests. One is for Human Services COVID administrative costs. These are the costs related to issuing over $2 million in economic relief payments to our community members, and a transfer from the general fund of up to $143,000. The Mountain Voices Project, a contribution of $50,000 coming from both the Healthy Community Fund and the general fund. And then also some transfer of budget as staff have jumped into different roles for the COVID response. moving some of the manager's office work into the public health fund and community relations advertising budget into the public health fund. Are there any questions on the budget supplemental request?
Okay, didn't see any questions, Tony. Noting for the public that we went over these, took more than an hour in our meeting yesterday on the September 8th work session, going over these items with staff members explaining them, and we had various commissioner questions and comments then. So the public could review that more detailed look at these different supplemental requests. Now, there's no public hearing today. That will be on September 23rd. So if there are no further commissioner comments or questions today, I would entertain a motion to pass this on first reading and set for second reading and public hearing on September 23rd.
I'd make the motion. Oh, or I'll second.
Okay, George moved and Greg seconded to approve on first reading. Any further discussion? Kelly.
Yeah, I'll just, thank Connie, thank all the staff who put this together, and I just continue to be impressed with the ability of staff to apply for and win grants for these programs, to really be able to expand services in our community that we might not otherwise be able to fund, particularly with budget uncertainty around us. So many thanks to them and great work.
Greg?
Yeah, thanks. I was just wanted to call up the PAC program, which we're putting money in, and again with grants. CCI just released a letter with a document describing the efficacy of the PAC program. And there are many really salient points in it, but one that comes out that I found interesting and worth repeating is that the longer one of these PAC programs is in place, the more effective it becomes. And I think the co-responder team hopefully will be around for a long time, and it's doing great work. So it's great to see that we're able to continue that here after its auspicious beginning about a year, maybe about a year and a half ago. Thanks. Thanks, Connie.
Any further comments at this time? Seeing none, all in favor of approval of the resolution, say aye.
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 Okay, we approved that 5-0. Thank you, Connie. We'll see you for on September 23rd to take a second look at this. Moving to our next item is an application for a new brew pub liquor license submitted by Aspen Brewing LLC. Jeanette Jones is not here, but she wanted me to relay that the reason that they asked for this to be continued till September 23rd is they are still gathering signatures on their petition in their neighborhood. So it's asked to have this continued to September 23rd. This is a public hearing item, and I will open up the public hearing in case there is anyone from the public who has phoned in today to comment on this item. I should have found out from Justin which item he wanted to comment on.
Steve, he's with Fleet, so I'm sure it's with the fire department issue for Fleet Services.
Okay. So we'll wait a half a minute to see if anyone phones in on this item. For members of the public, we have a number of public hearings coming in. The 3rd through 7th items on our agenda are coming up, and So if you want to comment on any of these, you should probably phone in and get in the queue right now. So I'm not seeing anyone phoning in on the New Brew Pub liquor license. So I'll close the public hearing on that, bring it back to the board.
I'll make a motion.
Steve, I can make a motion if we're ready. Oh, I beat you out, Daddy. Sorry.
Yeah, I'll second.
Make a motion to, okay, New Brew Pub liquor license submitted by Aspen Brink LLC to be continued to September 23rd. And Patty seconded.
And I second it. That also continues the public hearing to that date.
Yes. Any further commissioner comments? Seeing none, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Okay, George indicated yes also, so 5-0. Okay, moving on to our second reading items. These are all public hearings. The first one is a resolution adopting an IGA with the Aspen Fire Department for Pickens County Fleet Services.
Yeah.
And Pettit is on. Brian, I'll hand it over to you.
Great, thanks, Steve. I'm Brian Pettit, I'm the Public Works Director. Justin Dukeshire is having some connectivity problems. He's our fleet manager. And we've been working with the Aspen Fire Department to put together this renewal for a contract that has taken place over the last 5 years for Pickens County to provide fleet services for the fire department vehicles and equipment. It's worked out very well. I think both organizations are benefiting from it, as well as the community at large. It's a great symbiotic relationship. So this is a renewal for 1 year, but this will likely last 5 years as we can automatically renew it on an annual basis. Either organization can back out at any time based on the intergovernmental agreement. But from a staff standpoint, we're encouraging the board to approve this. The fire department's board has already approved it, and Chief Ballantyne is very happy with the services that we're providing.
Okay, questions or comments from the board members? I think the one question I would have, or just a caution, I want to make sure that we always have enough staff and resources in the department to take care of other people's equipment, because we're taking care of equipment or not we, you, Justin, you and your crew are taking care of equipment at the landfill, at the airport, for the fire department, and perhaps other organizations that I'm not even aware of. And so you take care of a huge amount of equipment. And I just want to make sure that you are have enough staffing and equipment and everything.
Yeah, and we have that discussion annually during budget time, and Justin can probably give a little bit more detail, but it's a continuous question, because our primary service is for county vehicles and county equipment. If that ever suffered from a service standpoint, then we would look at our external contracts and try to change them, amend them, and do whatever we need to do to provide capacity to provide our primary service, which is to county departments. I do know that the fleet department can outsource with some of the services for the fire department, and that would be another alternative to make sure that we're able to provide our services to county efforts first.
Yes, that's correct, Brian. I got connected again. So I feel in fleet we have enough capacity to handle the maintenance and the light repairs pretty easily. As far as advanced level repairs that require tooling or special testing, the fire department has been great about letting us outsource to Front Range Fire over in Evans, Colorado. And that way, certain repairs that are made, they need to be tested to be certified with the state immediately after. They can do that. So, and Aspen Fire has been great. And it's also in our contract too that all repairs are pre-authorized through the fleet manager. So we can have that discussion at that time. If we need to outsource, we can, and we do.
Okay, thank you, Justin.
Hmm.
This is a public hearing, and I'll open the public hearing at this time and see if anyone phones in to make a public comment on this. We only see Suzanne Wolf's name on there right now. I think she's here for another item or 2 or 3, so we'll wait a half a minute and see if anyone phones in on this. While we're waiting, I'll just comment that we'd really appreciate having this partnership with the Aspen Fire Department. They provide a very essential service to the community, obviously, and also have sent equipment to help neighboring communities and counties on helping fight fires there. So I'll close the public hearing on this. There's no one phoning in, and bring it back to the board for a motion.
Pretty quiet.
I will move.
If no one else wants to make a motion,
I
I
will
will make a
move to
motion.
approve the resolution adopting an IGA with Aspen Fire Department for Pickens County Fleet Services.
I'll second it.
Okay, moved by Kelly, seconded by George.
And
Any further
I have a
discussion from the?
I have a comment.
Yes, go ahead, Patty.
Yeah, Steve, this just tags on to your comment about Fleet and Fleet's ability to help out, I mean, the fire department's ability to help out other neighboring jurisdictions. And Brian, I'm just gonna put in a quick plug for Fleet and for you for going to the assistance with grader, I believe, that was requested by Garfield County, and Pickens County responded immediately by saying, of course, we will help you out during your fire and your disaster. We will send our equipment down there, which we did immediately. And I want the public to know that we are good neighbors to Garfield County when they are in need. George, you're grinning. I can see it from here. So thank you, Brian and Justin, for doing that.
Thank you, Patty.
Thanks for the reminder on that. That was, I hope that if we ever need a shipment from another county, that they're able to send it to us too. Greg?
I was just going to say, I didn't jump in and try to be the first to move on this because I was just feeling a little bit sheepish. I didn't want to be the first one in every time, so I was waiting, but I'm fully behind this.
And I have a chorus of crying going on around me, so I was trying to keep it quiet for everybody.
Don't be bashful. We don't want Patty to be always the one to move, which sometimes that happens because she's the one there in the room.
It's my challenge to try to beat her.
My challenge is trying to be quiet.
So, if there are no further public comments, I'll call a question. All in favor of approval of this resolution?
Aye.
Adopting the IG with the fire department, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. And George also signified yes with a thumbs up. Okay. Thank you, Justin.
Thanks, gentlemen.
Thank you, Brian.
Thank you.
Moving to the next item, it's an ordinance amending ordinance number 12, 2009, and accepting an amendment, access easement, and improvement and maintenance agreement from the Stone Road Association and lot owners in the West Cypress Ranch subdivision. And we have Phyllis Mattice here to carry this one. Phyllis?
Hi, Phyllis Mattice, Deputy County Manager. Rye Neely covered this for me on first reading, so I have to thank Rye. When we redeveloped the Crown Mountain site, we had an access and maintenance agreement with the Stone Road Association to maintain their road. Since that time in 2009, they've made improvements with recycled asphalt, which makes it impossible for our road and bridge crew to take their heavy equipment up there to maintain it. So we've been working with the Stone Road Association for a while, trying to come up with an equitable plan. This is really simple. We'll provide them with an annual contribution, and we no longer have any requirement and responsibility to maintain Stone Road or Skilcombe Lane. So with that, their homeowners association approved this a while ago, even got votes in writing, and so now we're ready for second reading and approval with you all.
Okay, questions for Phyllis from commissioners?
I have one.
Patty?
Yeah, Phyllis, I just want to thank you for putting in the agenda item summary that there were no changes from first reading. Because you know I always ask that question, and you're always the one who puts it in the AIS. So thank you for doing that again.
Okay, this is a public hearing. Are there any members of the public who wish to make a comment on this? We'll give you a half a minute to phone in. You can see the phone number on the grassroots screen for the number you need to call if you wish to make a comment on any of these items. And it's also listed at the top of our agenda, which is available at pickingcounty.com. I'm not seeing anybody phoning in on this item. Bring it back to the board for a motion to approve the ordinance. Kelly?
I will make a motion to approve the ordinance amending ordinance number 12, 2009, and accepting an amended access easement and improvement and maintenance agreement from the Stone Road Association and lot owners in the West Cypress Ranch subdivision.
I'll second.
Okay, it's moved and seconded, moved by Kelly, seconded by Greg. Are there further commissioner comments or questions? Seeing none, all in favor of approval, say aye.
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 Aye. Okay, George gave thumbs up again, 5-0, vote on that. Moving to the next item, a resolution authorizing an amendment to the license and use agreements for the airport rental car companies, reallocating the space for rental car operations. And John Ely, could you explain this to us and the public?
Steve, thanks. This is a resolution that would establish a new allocation of parking space out at the airport between all the rental car companies that are doing business at the airport, as well as improve the functionality of the rental car operation, employee parking, and traffic flow at the airport. It's the plan that has been discussed for many months. And so, of course, there are 0 changes between the first reading and today's date, and it is ready for approval by the board and implementation by staff at the airport. Rich, do you have anything else to add? I don't want to cut you off. I saw that you jumped in.
No, I don't. Thank you, John, for that explanation. And yes, to John's point, Patty, there were no changes from the first.
Thank you.
I'll have to remember that. It's good to follow her.
So I do, go ahead, Kelly.
Yeah, I just want to comment that, maybe for the public, if they remember when we first really started talking about this whole project, we were all getting daily alerts for the parking lot at the airport being full. I'll note we haven't received, I don't think, any of those this summer, but this was really in response to trying to shift or, expand parking, make some changes, shift around space, create new cell phone pull-off lot space, remove berming for extra space, and then reallocate that to rental car companies and for, our public parking as well. So, this has been a long time in the works, and while it may not be getting, the public may be wondering why this is happening now, I'll just refresh that that's where we were at, and that was some of the, problems that led us here, and hopefully their customer experience will be better in the future.
So I was going to comment on that also. When I went by and looked at the project when it was happening, it seemed like we were really making a better organized parking area with a lot more space. And I see Chris Padilla on here from the airport, and maybe between Chris and Rich, how has the new parking layout been working? Is it working? I mean, we haven't heard of any problems, so we think it's working well, but now would be a good chance to listen on that.
What we've noticed is that it's a lot easier to get between the two parking lots now, or not between the two, but they used to be two separate lots, an employee lot and a long-term lot. And now with those connected, that's created more space, and the flow is a little bit better, or a lot better actually on that. You're not seeing backups at gates. We didn't have any impact to any employee parking. I have seen employees going in and out without any problems. So it looks really nice too, nice fresh clean paint. And the car rental companies on their side, they're enjoying that new flow. I'm noticing a much safer traffic pattern happening with the car rentals when they return their cars to the storage area, instead of driving through where the rest of the public was walking from the parking lots and to the car rental areas too. So we've shifted that traffic over to a different pattern, and it's helped a lot.
I might also add that the cell lot parking that the board authorizes to do is working out really well, and we do have signs up there. The no idle signs
Thank you.
have now been put in place since our last meeting.
Okay, George?
Chris or Rich, you may just want to do a quick public service announcement regarding the closure of the airport coming up shortly.
Good idea.
Yeah, thank you, George, for that. We are going to be closing the airport due to some painting needs out here. It's an FAA requirement for safety. We were going to combine it with some construction work on the asphalt, but we were able to postpone that a year based on we just weren't happy with the pricing. So we put that off, but we do need to get the painting done. And it's going to close on the 13th at 11 p.m. in the evening, and will be closed through the 18th, opening on the 18th at 7 a.m. So staff is prepared to do the painting, and not only on the land side or on the air side, but we're also going to be repainting on the land side. So hopefully, if the weather holds and gets back to warmer conditions, we should be out with staff doing that painting. So thank you for that, George.
Greg?
Yeah, thanks, George, for reminding me, and Rich for the answer. I think it is important that the public understand that it's kind of an alignment of the stars, how, we have the pandemic and the fires, and then we had the Independence Pass closure to Rockfall, and the airport closure, and it's still kind of tourist season. And so I know a lot of people in the community are upset, but I think this is one case where I don't think we have a choice. It's an FAA mandated operation, and I understand it's going to go as quickly as it can, and it can't be done any later in the season. Is that correct?
Yeah, it is, Greg. That's absolutely right. In fact, we're pushing it as it is. But again, there's other alternatives for the public. They can fly into other locations, drive up if need be. We fully understand the impact it has and recognize that, but it's just something we couldn't avoid.
Steve?
Patty?
Yeah, so technically, Rich, I'm just going to make it clear to the public. The airport will be closed for painting required by FAA for safety reasons on the 14th of September, the 15th, the 16th, and 17th, reopening the morning of the 18th. So there'll be 4 days that the airport will be closed for service.
Yeah, that's correct. We say 11 p.m. on the 13th, but you're right, Patty.
So technically for commercial, for flights. All right, thank you, just so the public is aware. And but we'll still have some access for helicopters, for air transport, that kind of thing, emergencies, as best we can accommodate. Okay.
Yep, that'll all be open. We're getting the word out as best we can with the GA. Navigation systems will be shut down. That doesn't allow the planes to come in. DIA takes over. So we're taking every precaution we can. The FAA recommended that we wait 48 hours in advance to send out a notification on the GA side because they've had issues if you send it out too early, adding confusion. So based on their historic recommendation, we are waiting to get that final notice out to a lot of the GA. And I know that doesn't help with planning purposes, but it was their recommendation that we hold on that end.
Great, thank you.
You're welcome.
Okay, so getting back to the rental car agreement, their space, I will open the public hearing and see if any members of the public wish to comment on this. We still have Suzanne Wolf on there, but no members of the public. So, Suzanne, feel free to comment on any of these that you need to, okay? So I thought maybe there would be a member of, you know, one of the rental car people would maybe want to comment, but I'm not seeing anybody phoning in on this. So bring it back to the board for motion.
So
I don't
Steve,
think we had a motion on this.
I will make a
Yep,
motion
go
to
ahead.
authorize the amendment to the rental car license and use agreement to reallocate space for rental car operations.
Second.
Okay, it's been moved by Patty, seconded by Greg to approve this resolution. Are there any further commissioner comments? Seeing none, all in favor say aye.
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 Okay, 5-0 approval. Thank you.
Thank you, Steve.
Our next item. Thank you, Rich. And next we have a resolution amending the airport fees and charges for 2020, July through December, and 2021, and authorizing an amendment to the airline lease and use agreements. So John and Rich, whoever wants to talk about this one.
I'll let John open again if you'd like.
That's okay. I'm gonna get some fresh coffee.
All right.
I can take it too if you want.
I got it. Thank you, board. This is the second reading on a resolution amending the rates and charges for the fiscal year, July through December, and then authorizing amendment to the airline use agreements. This was presented in a work session, and then again on first reading we had charts, walked you through the different changes, and really those the changes that we're talking about is exclusive use in the terminal itself for preferred space, and then we have landing fee changes. I might note that the locally based GA, for those that have local based airlines or planes, there's no change there. The airflow or the fuel flow fee, there were no changes, and then the terminal shared space rental agreements were changed. So these hadn't been changed since 2017, so we brought these to the airlines. We had extensive discussions with them. I'm pleased to say that even though they were difficult discussions, they were willing to understand the fact that these haven't been changed over the last few years, and even in these tough times with low occupancies on their flights, they agreed to the terms. One of the conditions of this that we needed board's approval on that you were reviewing was that the increase of $3.52 on the interior space is actually we're going to defer it, cutting it in half, so that we were going to pick up half this year and then half before April of next year from the airlines. And again, it's just to help them with their cash flow. They're okay cash flow wise, and it was just an arrangement that I think worked well for both of us. So that was really the main discussion around that. But I'll let Chris, if you would, go ahead and chime in and This is a public hearing and would ask for your adoption of the resolution.
So, thanks, Rich. So, yeah, it's correct. $3.52 is of the increase is being deferred to be recouped next year in 2021. I also want to revisit, last time we talked, there was discussion about whether it was going to impact the car rental companies too. Since then, we found that per the lease, that original price per square foot doesn't take into effect till after November, or the original price per square foot agreed upon is active until November. So this resolution won't affect that. So there's essentially no changes to the last time that we presented besides that.
Thank you, Chris.
Okay, questions or comments from board members? Okay, I'm going to open the public hearing on this item. Are there any members of the public who wish to comment on this? You can phone in on the number on the grassroots screen or on the top of the agenda for the September 9th meeting, which is today's meeting. I'll wait a minute here. There are no attendees on at this time. So I'm going to leave the public hearing open for the next couple items. I'll close it when we're all done for the day. Just in case anybody calls in late, I can call on them then. So bring it back to the board for a motion of approval.
I'll make a motion to approve.
I'll second.
Okay, moved by Patty, seconded by Kelly to approve the resolution about the airport fees. Is there any further discussion from the board? Seeing none, all in favor, say aye.
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 Okay, 5-0 approval, thank you. Moving on to our last of the second reading items is an ordinance authorizing acquisition of the Gerbaugh in holding at the Redstone Boulders open space. And Dale Will is on. Welcome, Dale.
Yeah, this is the latest proposed acquisition from the Open Space and Trails Board, and it's a 1.9 acre parcel that is entirely surrounded by the Redstone Boulders open space that we had acquired a few years ago. Since first reading, I went up and toured the property with Rye Neely and Gary Tenenbaum and made sure there was nothing unusual in the interior of the parcel that we hadn't seen before. And what we found is a very intact piece of habitat with native vegetation all over it, and it will make a nice addition to the Redstone Boulders open space. The acquisition was unanimously recommended to you by the Open Space and Trails Board, and we're set to close on it fairly quickly at the request of the landowner. So I'm happy to answer any questions.
So I'm not seeing any questions. We talked about this at a couple of meetings, and I think we're all comfortable with this. I'm going to see if any members of the public wish to comment on this item. You can phone in now. We'll give a half a minute and see if anyone phones in on this. Now, Tammy has joined us. I don't think she's here to comment on this item. Okay, I'll close the public hearing on this part, and bring it back to the board for a motion.
Steve, I'd move to approve.
I'll second that.
So, George, did you make the motion?
I did.
Both moved?
Yes.
I didn't hear you. It seemed like you were talking. I didn't hear you. So George moved, Greg seconded. Is there any further discussion? Greg? Oh, okay. I'll make a comment. Thank you, Dale, for bringing this to us. It was kind of just a fortuitous happening that we were able to acquire this piece of land that really will fit in well with that, just on the downstream side of Redstone Boulevard. That will help protect that from having potentially having a house built on it that wouldn't
Girls
have
could
been
make
in
some.
keeping with
Should try to make some.
Redstone Boulevard is like. So we appreciate you doing the work on this and bringing it to us.
Thank you.
So, all in favor of approval, say aye.
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 Thanks, Dale.
Okay. Okay. Thank you, Dale.
Aye.
So I am having not very good internet connection.
Steve, I can take over for you.
Yes.
You want me to
Can
do
you guys
that?
hear me right now?
Yeah, we can hear you.
I can hear you right now. You were freezing there.
Kelly,
Yes.
you want to be here for this next poll?
Sure, happy to.
You can hear me? Yeah, I'm having an unstable internet connection right now. I'm going to turn my video off. Maybe that will help. A little better connection here.
We'll just let Kelly move us forward.
Moving to our land. So I don't know how well you guys are able to hear me.
Steve, would you like me to lead us through land use?
Yeah, Kelly, why don't you take over as chairman? You've been having a better internet connection today.
Okay. Okay, we're moving on to our land use items and our land use public hearings. So on the agenda, we're on item 8, the resolution approving the MM Rosemary Circle LLC activity envelope review and affirming the entitlements granted by formal BOCC resolution. And I think Tammy has joined us. This is noted for continuation to October 28th. Tammy, is there anything you'd like to offer? Any comments on this item?
Not really. We're just, staff and the attorney's office just wanted some more time to discuss kind of the greater implications of this complicated land use application. So just requesting it be continued to the 28th of October.
Okay, this is a land use public hearing, so I will open the public hearing. I don't see anyone who's called in. We'll give it a minute before we continue this item and the public hearing. Okay, I will close the public hearing on this item and entertain a motion to continue.
So moved.
Second.
Okay, I'll note that this hearing is continued to October 28th. Thanks, Tammy. Moving on to our second land use item, number 9.
We need to vote on that.
Oh, sorry, you're right. Sorry, I'm out of practice. Okay, So we've had a motion and a second. All in favor to continuing to October 20th, please say aye.
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 Aye. Thank you. And I won't make that mistake twice. Moving on to the next item, number 9, an ordinance approving the Use Code text amendment standards for rockfall hazard area, second reading. And I note that this is also being requested to be continued. And I see Suzanne has joined us today. Hi, Suzanne.
Hello, everybody. Yes, you all asked for some additional information on first reading at the last meeting. So the applicant is working on that, and we're also working with Karen Berry with the Colorado Geological Survey. So we just needed a little bit more time to pull that information together for you for second reading. So we'll bring that back on the 14th of October.
Okay, thank you. Because this is a public hearing, I will open the public hearing and see if anyone wants to comment on this item before we continue it. I see nobody has called in yet, but I will give it just a minute. I'll go ahead and close this public hearing and ask for a motion to continue this item and the public hearing to October 14th.
Move to continue.
So moved. Second.
Moved by George, seconded by Greg. All in favor, please say aye.
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 Steve, I can't hear you or see you, so I'm not sure. Okay, thumbs up. I see Steve. Thumbs up from Steve. Okay. Moving on to the next item. Item number 10, also in land use. This is 2 items regarding the Aspen Valley Ranch Agricultural Facilities parcel. The first is an ordinance to rezone a portion of the agricultural facilities parcel from Affordable Housing Zone District to the Resource 20 Zone District. First reading, and resolution approving minor amendments to the resolution 81/2008 and resolution 69/2014 for Aspen Valley Ranch. We had considered this at our last meeting in August, I believe, August 26th. Johnny Lee, please correct me. And at that time, it was unclear who seconded that motion when we moved to continue it. So we are reconsidering that motion to properly continue this hearing to September 23rd. And I will ask Johnny Lee if I missed anything or if I covered that okay. So we can formally do this.
So I will
Should I move again, since I think didn't I make that first motion? Should I do it again?
No, it needs to be a motion to reconsider.
Oh.
So I'll ask that clarification then, Johnny Lee. Are we moving to reconsider as a first action and then moving to continue again as a second action today?
That's right.
So I will request a motion to, and we'll have to do 4 of these, right? Since we had 2 items to reconsider.
I think we can combine the 2 together. They're
Okay.
both, they were attempted to be continued at the last regular meeting, and the only thing that the record can disclose is who made the second. And so this is just clearing that up. And so I think that it's fine to handle it in 2 motions, to reconsider both and then to continue it with formality to the next meeting date.
Okay, so I will request a motion to reconsider both the ordinance and the resolution from our last regular session.
I'll move to reconsider.
Steve moved.
I'll second.
Greg seconded. this is the motion to reconsider a public hearing? No. Okay. So the motion to reconsider is not a public hearing, so I will go ahead and call for a vote. All in favor, please say aye.
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 Aye. Now I will request I will open the public hearing on our motion to continue this item to September 23rd. We will be continuing both the first reading of the ordinance and the resolution. So I will open the public hearing. I don't see anyone has called in, but we'll just give it a minute. All right, folks, in honor of our 6-month anniversary of COVID, that's how long you should be washing your hands. So I will go ahead and close the public hearing for now and request a motion to continue the ordinance and resolution for the Aspen Valley Ranch application to September 23rd.
So moved.
Second.
I'll third that.
I'll note Greg moved and George seconded, and I will call for a vote. All in favor to continue this to September 23rd, please say aye.
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 Thank you.
Okay, so that's our last bit of housekeeping on that. And that wraps up our land use items for today and moves us along to open discussion. John Peacock, do you have any open discussion items for us today?
I don't have any open discussion items.
You muted
Sorry,
yourself.
I hit my mute button. Sorry about that. Greg did distribute the letter that the board had wanted to talk about today on the bonding issue for oil and gas, and so I'd invite the board to have that conversation.
Kelly?
Okay, Patty?
Great. Thanks, John. It's just a letter, it's oil and gas.
Go ahead, it's okay. If you want to introduce the item for us, I know Patty has a comment, so go ahead, Greg.
Oh, John did it so well. I don't know if I need to, if you all read it.
Hey, Patty?
Yeah, I just want to make a comment. I read it. I think it's well written. I think the board, I would like to see if the board would like to sign this as the Board of County Commissioners, since it does say we as Colorado counties. So I would support the board signing it as the Board of County Commissioners from Pickens County.
Okay, thumbs up from Greg. I agree. George, do you have any, or Steve, do you have any comment on the letter? George gives a thumbs up. All right, so we'll ask staff to put that on letterhead for us and forward it along.
Great, thank
Great.
you.
Michaela should have it, and she's probably ready to go if someone would send it to her. Great. Thanks.
Yeah, Greg, thanks for bringing it forward.
Okay, George, you have additional open discussion. Go ahead.
I do, thank you. John Ely, I'd like to have a discussion about the role, purpose, possible abuses of public comments.
Okay.
Specific to?
Anything?
What?
Yeah, it just seemed kind of open-ended. Was it specific to the issue we had before us today about the use of videos and multiplying minutes?
Right. Right. I just want to sort of, for us and for the public, just sort of give a brief explanation of the role of a public comment, the ability to utilize it, how it may or may not be utilized, or can it be abused?
Well, the public comment period of the BOCC meetings has been crafted into the regular pattern of meeting conduct for all of the county's public bodies, all the citizen boards, et cetera. The purpose, of course, is to give the public, any member of the public, whether that's a resident, a property owner, or anybody who has any concerns with something that's going on in Pitkin County that might not otherwise be on an agenda, and that the person bringing forward the comment wants to make the board aware of. And for the board to respond among yourselves to either give staff direction to investigate, or to prepare an answer, or to schedule a discussion on a future agenda in a more formalized fashion, so it can be noticed, and anybody else in the public who wants to participate can attend. So it's a backstop to allow items that might not otherwise be on an agenda to be brought to the board's attention that are of concern to members of the public or a member of the public, and let the board judge what direction they want to take that. So over time, the conduct of public comments has been to basically give an open mic to anybody who wants to address the BOCC. Do not screen the comments in advance. We do not require the comments to be in writing. We simply allow time to any member of the public to address the board. It is not a requirement to do any of this. This is something that the county does, and, well, quite frankly, most jurisdictions in the valley operate in a similar manner. But there is no legal requirement to conduct a public discussion or an open comment, if you will, to address the BOCC. As a consequence, the individual boards that do allow this as a courtesy to the public can establish parameters however you see fit, such that the comments that are given are done so in a I don't want to say a professional manner, but in a courteous and an intelligent way, and not just to consume time, for example. So if the board wanted to establish some limitation that makes sense or that seems fair to the board, then the board is free to do so. And then, that would be the pattern of conduct, how public comment would be given in the future. So in consideration of today's meeting, we have heard from members of the public in the past that have wanted to present a video clip of something that is relevant, or a taped recording of something. And occasionally that does happen, and occasionally the board entertains it. But it's obviously not designed to monopolize the time of public comment to extend in an unfair or an unequal way for a singular person to occupy time in front of the board. In constructing what kind of parameters the board wants to establish, you should consider, I believe, not only a fairness to other members of the public that are waiting in turn to address the board, but also recognizing that you have an agenda behind public comment of other business to take care of, whether it's an application or a request for action, any other action that the board might be taking, for which particularized public comment is afforded or is required by law. So, the public comment at the front of the meeting, as opposed to at the back of the meeting, allows for people to make their say and get out. But you don't want to slow down the pace of the meeting unnecessarily, so that you have a lot of other folks waiting in line. So it's up to the board to decide how you want to run it, or if you feel that things are getting out of control. In regard to the realm of courteousness and affording people an opportunity to address the board, there's no need to tolerate or to allow for excessive or abusive type of comments, or challenging or or threatening comments or anything like that whatsoever, and those quite simply can be cut off by the chair. And the comment, moves on to the next individual. So it's for the board to determine.
Yeah, thanks, John. Yeah, I mean, it seems that the time that I've been on the board and serving on other boards, public comment, as you said, is always addressed to the board specifically. It's not addressed to the audience. And it's to be able to provide comments, input, ideally something that is relevant to the business that we're involved in. Where I don't think it's appropriate is when it's totally removed from directing their comments to the board. It becomes an interview or conversation between other entities, other people.
So,
Patty, go ahead.
yeah, while I found the video clip this morning of interest, I was having a hard time relating it to a conversation pertinent before the Board of County Commissioners. So I'm not quite sure why that was chosen to be brought forward to us today as public comment. But again, as I said, it was of interest. It was interesting to me, but just not pertinent to our business. But the other question I have is the time it takes for staff and for just getting it set up until we have better technology to make it simpler. Minutes are taken up by just trying to get the system to work. We're in this age of technology, and sometimes we're still catching up with it. So I don't know how that applies, but it's concerning to me because it does take up time, and I don't want it to apply to the public who wishes to speak, but technically it's their time and how they choose to use it. Their 3 minutes. So I'm not sure if we need a bigger policy discussion on this rather than we have today, if we need, to be done at a work session, but so we could actually come up with some kind of a plan rather than just a discussion. I'm not sure where to go with it, George, but I think we need to discuss it.
Greg, go ahead.
Yeah, thanks for bringing it up, George. I was going to bring it up as well. When the comments are either irrelevant to the county or the discussion or the agenda or an issue that's within the county, it raises questions for me. Or if it's a promotion for something, if it's a promotion for somebody's business, or it makes me wonder. I don't want to restrict people from being able to comment, but at some point it does start feeling like filibustering or just trying to kill time or get attention. There doesn't seem to really be anything relevant to the board. I'm wondering if we can leave that up to the discretion of the chair, and then give the chair the means to cut it off at the right time, at the appropriate time. Maybe maybe just by asking grassroots to, if it's a video, for instance, but it does seem like, is it okay to let it get out of control for 3 minutes, or do we want to have more control and be able to refocus it on relevance? I know there's a fine line, and I don't want to discourage open and public comment, but I'm concerned about where it can go, because I really have been a proponent of being able to show a photo or a video in public comment. It could be very useful, or in board comment. I've been dying to bring videos to all of you, but we have to be able to do it efficiently, and if it's irrelevant, I think the chair should be able to cut it off. Thanks.
I think Steve's calling in.
To call us? Are you trying to call in on number 3008?
Yes, I am on the phone.
Okay.
You only get 3 minutes.
We can hear you. Go ahead.
Technology at its best.
So you can see me and I can hear you clearly now.
Okay.
So today it was not that long in front of the meeting when I got word that Lee wanted to hear those clips on on the thing. He was trying to get Amy to put it on the grassroots, which she cannot do that. It has to go through Andrew, whoever our IT person is running the Zoom call. That's the way that the video has to be presented. So right from the get-go today, we were trying to scramble to accommodate Lee, thinking, you know, if we can let him show his video, then that would be a way he could do his public comment. Then we run into the problem we couldn't hear what they were even saying for half of the time. To me, it was just a snafu today and didn't really accomplish anything. And it felt like the comments were sort of publicizing the Mulcahy's work on the water thing, the water project in Africa was what they were leading towards. It didn't really have anything to do with what our county business was. So I think in the future I would want somebody to, if they really feel that a video needs to be seen, that we could preview it a day ahead of time and make sure it's pertinent to what public comment should be, and you know, arrange it way more ahead of time than just an hour before the meeting. So that's what I think where I would go on this.
And I would just offer, you know, I think George and I have really been privy to Lee Mulcahy's abuse of public comment, you know, both here and at APSHA recently, and his access to the meetings, and, you know, he very rudely interrupted invited guest speakers at our last APSHA meeting. And so, you know, in the particular, his conduct, I think does need to be brought a little more into better alignment with our expectations and decorum. But, you know, ordinarily Lee is showing historical clips of APSHA meetings related to, you know, his eviction and his proceedings. And, you know, I don't take offense to that being shown. I think, you know, we are part of APSHA. We, you know, it's sort of bringing to the attention of the board a historical record that is relevant to the board. Today, that was not the case. Today, it was a promotion of his family and their concerns and their nonprofit work, et cetera. And, you know, I don't think that's appropriate because that's not relevant to us. You know, I think that I would prefer to have just maybe a working agreement among our board and then request discretion of the chair based on what we agree to be appropriate or inappropriate conduct. Because I could see a situation where, you know, say, you know, a nonprofit who we admire and respect wants to show a clip of their work or something, and so we need to just, if we're going to approach that even-handedly, then I think we have to know what our guardrails are and to say, you know, promotional activities are not going to be allowed, and we know that, and we've said that, and then the chair can recognize it when it comes up. You know, to me, a video, you know, multimedia is just the life that we live in now, and if it is relevant, then it's relevant, and if it's not, then it should be cut off. Hi, Patty. Yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, I just want to add to the word appropriate the word pertinent, because I don't want people to think that we're judging whether their comments are appropriate. They need to be appropriate and pertinent to county business or to maybe, because it is a freedom of speech issue I think we all agree on and we all support, but when it becomes not pertinent or in some cases inappropriate because of language or attacks, etc., that's when I think we agree that the chair can step in and say, okay, your public comment's done, because that's just, it's not what our public comment is to be utilized for. It's not why we are allowing the public to come before us in our meetings and provide comment. So I'm supportive of that, and I think it's clear. I think it's clear to all of us. I think it's clear to the chair, vice chair, and the rest of the members who will again serve as chair and vice chair, except for George, who's the lucky guy out here. But I think we can move forward on that.
So,
Greg,
Steve
go
again
ahead.
here.
No.
Seems,
Sorry, Steve. I'm gonna, I saw Greg raise his hand first, so.
Okay, Greg, go ahead.
Yeah.
Oh, thanks. I was just thinking when Patty mentioned pertinent to county business, it may just be more pertinent to the community. If it's only pertinent to county business, I'd be willing to engage in a conversation about that. But I was thinking pertinent to the community.
Yeah, I'm saying.
Maybe it can be a little bit broad. Yeah, just
Yeah.
maybe you wanted to rephrase that.
Well, I just want the word pertinent in there. In our thought process.
Steve, go ahead.
Yeah, I think, and George brought up the point, the comment should be being addressed to the commissioners. At the same time, they might be addressing the general public, but the main point is to be addressing us. And I could see someone wanting to do like a public service announcement to make us aware of something like an event that's going to happen. They could be telling us about that, and it would be telling the public at the same time. But then the video today wasn't really addressing us. It was just YouTube video of the Mulcahy's, they were sort of publicizing their water project in Kenya and not really addressing the board and not really addressing the public. It was more just like something you would watch on TV, a show about a water project in Africa that didn't seem pertinent or appropriate for public comment to me.
Okay, George?
Okay, well, thanks for this discussion, and I think I've heard some good suggestions, and for me, it's really just common sense, and we'll leave it to the discretion of the chair to be able to monitor those public comments, if and when they're appropriate or not.
Appropriate and pertinent.
Thank you.
Thanks, George, for bringing it forward.
So I would say for a video in the future, they need to get it to us way further in advance in order to have the chair preview it and make sure that it is appropriate and pertinent, and to kind of make the arrangements for having it actually shown on the Zoom call. So I think that would be guidelines that I would put into if we want to make kind of an agreement to have that be the way it's done.
Looks like Greg has a comment.
Yeah, to add to Steve, I would add that the length has to be 3 minutes or less, and one of the main reasons we get it in advance is that so it can be checked out technically to make sure it actually runs and it doesn't choke or freeze up, so that our tech people have the ability to show it and keep us moving. But I think also we could demand that the video itself should be, no more than 3 minutes precisely, and leave it at that too.
Sounds good to me.
Okay. If there's no other comment on that topic, is there any other items for open discussion?
Nope.
No? Okay, then I'll look to a motion to adjourn, please.
I will make a motion to adjourn.
Second.
Okay. Moved by Patty, seconded by Greg. All in favor, please say aye.
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 Thank you.
And thumbs up, George.
Thanks,
See y'all soon.
See you in person next week. Bye.
Drive safely.